Alrighty, everyone, welcome to our 16th episode of Epiq Thursdays. Delighted to have everyone join us. This is 5 p.m. Dubai time in New Jersey, where Maria is. It is 9 a.m. Kristen, you're in Indiana. That's 8 a.m. So thank you very much for joining us. Before I get them on the stage, this is a special show. We've never had two guests at the same time, so this will be a special for that. It's historic. Let's celebrate that. And other than that, of course, it's historic that we'll talk about a topic that I've never spoken of myself because I'm the worst person to talk about that, which is the midlife business women. And these are the best people on planet Earth to talk about that. We'll have them cover that in a bit. But before that, just to remind for those of you who haven't tuned in before, for Epiq Thursdays, we talk about how to get people into a state of peak performance, optimal performance, so you can actually live your highest level of living when you can. Without getting encumbered by anything that is in your way, and get practical actionable tips from people who live it and practice that. So with that, I'm going to introduce very quickly what Maria and Kristen have done. They've got a fantastic background by way of history. I mean, both of them are certified health coaches and women's healthy aging advocates. They're business partners, they're practitioners who share a passion for women's health, especially those in midlife. And they're owners of Wise and Well. We'll cover that in a bit. And they've refined the art and science of thriving as a midlife women. And they specialize in nutrition, specific to midlife women, and mindset coaching and hormone replacement therapy. We'll get into that as well in a bit, to both help you lose your weight and reclaim your life and your health, so you can make that part of your journey in life magnificent. We'll talk about something that they're doing programming. They've got a program online that's Balance Your Hormones, Love Your Life. But anyway, they're, as I said, the best people that I could see who are in the world of helping midlife women get to that state of high performance. So without further ado, Maria and Kristen, welcome and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'd love to know is, what got you to focus first on the segment of midlife business women? Because obviously, or midlife women, because clearly there's people talk about women's health, and that's the field in itself. And you've taken it even niche down further. So there must be a reason why you thought, look, why is that important to do? Is it because others aren't doing it, or others are not doing it well, or they're doing it not well, but they're not even getting this part, like even a further niche there? So I'll let you take the floor.
I'm going to give that one to Kristen to go first.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Obviously,
we can make tag team of each other. I can just say, fine, I'll just sit back and enjoy the show.
No, that's great. I think, Maria and I both, in our respective individual practices before we came together to kind of serve women more powerfully, is that we noticed that there's a lot of messaging for women out on the internet in particular, whether it's social media or blogs or whatnot. And we ended up with a lot of clients ourselves who were following this advice, and it was well-intentioned advice, but it was going awry for women in midlife. It's not specific for them. And there are unique changes in the midlife women's health that require a rethinking and a changing of that advice. And that is what Maria and I decided to focus on, because it's something that's not being served by conventional doctors. It's not something you see in the media. The books that are being published and getting a lot of airtime and whatnot deal with, birth control and PCOS and fertility issues. And these are not issues that midlife women are dealing with. In fact, they're not even that concerned about. They're dealing with very different things. And so we knew that really, really needed to be addressed differently. And that's how we came together to kind of combine our message and really focus on women's health.
So when you work with your clients, or when you work with individuals, what gets you to help them understand that this is something that if they spend time on, that they will have a completely different level of living than they've ever had in the past? I mean, what would be a trigger point to help them appreciate that, look, it is not just me selling you something, this actually is good to help you live that level of potential that you've probably dreamt of, that you've probably had sometime in the past, but now you're not able to get to that?
I can take that one. So, so we are very education forward, very education centric. We don't push things that are popular. We ask women to sometimes unlearn some of the things, and we come at them at a place of, we get you. We understand what's going on. We're not 29 turning 30 or 39 turning 40. We have both the clinical, experiential, and personal experience of living in a midlife woman's body, and we know how to help you. So what we do is we start with education, because that's empowerment. Now, it's not everything, because you can have all the education in the world and not be able to apply it and not be able to get out of your own way. But we really feel that that's exceedingly important. So the education we start with is, what is happening to your hormones in midlife? How are these things changing? Most women are coming at us at a, I'm putting on weight, or, I have a low libido, or, just like things that are really palpable, visible. And of course we address those things, but then we get on to, what else does this mean? What does this mean for your long-term metabolic health? You may be coming to us at 50, but what does this mean for you when you're 75? Yes, those things really matter. Let's take that big picture view. At least let's start with the big picture view, and then we can kind of really focus on your specific concerns.
So,
Yeah.
so do people, when they have these dialogues with you, or you having these conversations, is there a focus on, okay, let's get back on the saddle? Or is it more like, I want to kind of really ace my level of performance? I want to have not just this idea of feeling good, but I want to feel great. And, what this means in terms of, I'm running a business, or I'm actually running a home, or I'm running let's say a community center, is the level of ambition connected to the level of urgency they bring to the table? I mean, what do you see? Is that like kind of a correlation there?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone ultimately ends up in that place of more optimizing. I would say that midlife women's health issues tend to be loudly symptomatic. So in the initial term, some of them may come with this, I just want this to stop, or I just want to lose the weight. But once we help them understand what's going on and what the implications are, they all then really latch on to, okay, I'm in this to win it. I am in it so that I am thriving at 75 and 80. I'm in it so that I'm the active grandma that everyone goes, really? She's the grandma? Like, then they get it. And I think that's the biggest thing that we really love about our education piece, is that we help them understand, like, this isn't about just losing the 5 or 10 pounds. This truly is about optimizing your life and your health span. And they all end up in the same place, which is very motivating. It's understanding why you're making changes helps you make the change at the end. And when they have that long-term investment in their mind, they're in the long haul in making the changes. So it becomes actually a very fun journey to travel with them, but it does require that education piece, because sometimes it's symptom focused in the beginning, and we want to get them like, we get you, that's a problem, but let's really focus on that optimizing.
And beyond the education, do you find that, are there specific elements that you'd say would be primary areas of focus? Would it be nutrition? Would it be sleep? Would it be something else that you'd get started with first? Just look, let's address this. Is like the base of the pyramid. If we can address this first, it kind of is going to be much more easier afterwards.
Definitely. Yeah.
So gut health, nutrition, sometimes some women even need mindset coaching. So yeah,
there's health foundations, right? Whether you're 15, 40, or 60, we all have the same health foundations, which are going to be sleep, digestion, movement, nutrition, etc. And so it's dialing in all of those pieces. For midlife women, it usually starts in the very beginning with some mindset stuff. We tend to, as women, we're the caretakers, whether it's as a business owner, whether it's as a spouse, whether it's as a mother, partner, etc. And we tend to take that focus off of ourselves. And so we really need to kind of shift that mindset from this sort of fixed, this is the way it is, I'm going to carry these 10 pounds forever, or I'm just getting old. And we have to shift that mindset to a growth mindset that no, you are capable, entitled, and absolutely worthy of making these changes to optimize yourself. And so once we shift that mindset, then we usually dive first into nutrition, because that is one of the loudest messages that you see on social media directed at women, is how you should be eating and what you should be eating. And I would say the vast majority, if not 99.9% of it, is completely wrong for midlife women. So that's where we dive in and say, no, you're not going to thrive and be a rockin' 70-year-old woman with great bones and brain and heart health if you're living off chia seed smoothies. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I could say that would be good advice for even people younger there as well, but there you go.
Definitely. But, we need to keep our message focused on those who feel the pain differently. There's a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings out there who can just hit Orange Theory Fitness 5 days a week and kind of wipe off the sins of their weekend activities. But midlife women don't have that so easy.
True. And when you look at, you've got the nutrition mindset in place, and there's also, you said, okay, that's one perspective that media flaunts, which is what you eat determines how you look, perhaps, or how you
Right.
feel as well. So do you also then look at the let's say the physical element of it, the exercise part, the actual movement parts that you referred to as well? How does that go hand in hand? Because I could eat well, but if I'm not moving well, then that kind of doesn't correlate either, right? So how does that play together for you?
I didn't quite, I eat well, but I'm not
Moving well.
Oh, moving well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's no doubt that exercise is an incredibly important component of longevity and a healthy lifestyle. It should not be looked at as something to help you lose weight. It should be looked at as something to help you help your heart, help your circulation, help your bones, things like that. But we really want to get women out of we exercise because, I had, one too many pieces of, I don't know, whatever, buns or biscuits or something like that. That's really completely wrong mindset. We want them to exercise because we know it's healthy for them. It's just not about like exercising to kind of like wipe off the calories that they consumed. So,
Yeah.
So, I mean, give me probably an example, if you may, of someone who you worked with that was truly a joy in terms of what you ended up helping them achieve, in terms of impact, in terms of how they ended up feeling, and so on and so forth. I mean, give me, let's say, a quick rundown on, what started off, what had happened, and then, of course, how they're living now.
I'm going to let Kristen take that one. All the messaging that we've been getting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I one particular client comes to mind because she was probably our most daunting from the standpoint of very dug into her existence, very convinced that we were going to kind of end up being a long shot. And, she, though, came to it, we had to talk to her about, look, if what you're doing was working, you wouldn't have come to us, first of all. And second, if you're truly sick of where you're at and want to change things, just give us a try. That's all we ask. We're not going to make grand promises. We're just going to ask you to just give us a try. And for her, we really needed to dial down into the digestion piece because, as you just said, you can eat all you want, but if you're moving wrong, it can go sideways. And we would add to that, you can eat all the right things, but if you're not digesting it, you're not getting the benefit of those nutrients that you carefully picked and shopped for and prepared and ate. So working on digestion, which, to be perfectly frank, in an era of what we're all living with in this world right now, which is a little bit high stress and anxiety, we need to rest to digest. And so that requires kind of a mindset shift and taking pause, kind of presenting yourself to a meal and really being open to what this meal is going to give you. So working on that with her, we did do some testing because not all women should be exercising if they have some adrenal problems. And that's something too that the messaging gets lost, right? Just exercise, exercise, exercise every day. Not necessarily for every woman. Maybe we need to support some adrenal function in the body before we add in exercise. So with her, we had to kind of say, dial down the exercise, which to any woman is horrifying because they think, I'm going to gain all this weight then, and I'm, going to have all this disruption. We know just, right now exercise is actually stress in your life. And so she trusted us and we switched it to some more gentle stuff, which she eventually moved into the exercise that we suggest, which is movement, heavy lifting, etc., for bone health and whatnot. But then the diet piece, she was convinced that she was doing it all right. And part of what we require is a food journal, and not in terms of tracking, but just kind of give us a snapshot of what's typical for you. And it helps us break down where are those macronutrients not serving you? What things could we just make shifting? We don't go in and prescribe a whole change for a woman because if it's not realistic, it's not going to happen. So we coached her through all those pieces, including sleep. She was someone, and a lot of women say this, I'm just not a sleeper. Well, sorry, the human body needs to sleep. So working on, some sleep hygiene and transitioning her to that. And then helping her with the education piece of, even once you dial in all the right pieces of the health foundations, midlife women are hormonally deficient and they frequently need hormone replacement. And she had very unique health situation, from cancer history to cardiovascular disease, et cetera. So we helped her find a provider that would be right for her. And she, to this day, is someone who said, I thought that I was going to have a shortened life. I thought that I was going to die miserable. And she is thriving in a way that is just, she's almost like our poster child, and we love her to death, because in the beginning, she pretty much had a stiff arm out to us, like, fine, I'll go with you, but you're not going to help me. And we're like, okay, let us prove you wrong. And we did, and it was great.
So I know who you're talking about. And
yeah.
I literally have in print, unsolicited, she says, we saved and extended her life. And it's really gratifying to hear that, to know that we are affecting lives that way.
Absolutely remarkable. I mean, and I guess what that also does, I mean, as the good work embeds in the body, it perpetuates other things which probably have been, held back, which could be the mind, which could be their ability to influence others. And I guess a big part also is the environment, right? So there's elements like people around you, the people you have around you, the people you let around you as well. Like, like the language they say, the words they speak. So, I mean, how do you help people program their environment, I'm guessing, as well, right? Because that's part of also what needs to also happen at some level, because we can do all the good work internally, but if the external environment is coming at us much stronger every day, the work needed is much more. So do you kind of do something to kind of get people to shift something on that level as well?
I mean, I can speak to that somewhat from a personal level. I'll just take, for example, my husband. I'm going to out him right now. I have a wonderful husband. He's super supportive of me, my work. He loves the healthy meals that I make, but he also loves to eat a lot of crappy food as well. And I will have to say that, on occasion, that can be really challenging to have, the food, one of the best things you can do, Aman, is to get not foods that don't support your health, just to not bring them into the house, right? It's a huge thing. And I don't have that benefit. Okay. So I need to learn to exist in a world where there's going to be a cheesy, greasy pizza on the table, or, whatever, just stuff like that. And two things I would say with that is, one is I have to be more invested in what that is going to do to me. Okay. So I need to really fully know, again, education, understand what the outcome of eating that would be. Okay. So poor digestion, weight gain, and honestly, I even think poor food really affects our mood as well. So I know that, but also that's not enough. Just knowing that is not enough. I need to be satiated. So last night, while my husband brings home a huge, super greasy, gross pizza, it wasn't even like a great pizza, it was just this really greasy pizza. What did I have? I was completely satiated. I had fatty salmon, I had steak, and I had arugula salad. I had zero need from a cravings perspective, because I can have all the education in the world to stay away from that, right? But if I don't have satiety, there's just going to be this biological imperative. So that's a small environmental thing, just like a lot of people do live with partners that, don't share their health goals. And I wish I could say that there's a trick or a hack. I don't really think there is. I think it's coming down to, what do you want for your life? Make that decision. And then you have to physically support yourself so that you have it coming from you. You got the mindset, but you've got the nutrition and the satiety dialed in as well. So,
yeah, I would say that piece becomes an intention versus goal situation. We have a lot of women that come in with goals, right? And the problem with goals is that they're measurable. They have a fixed outcome. And if you don't achieve them, you've failed. Right. And there is nothing more demotivating and sort of toxic for your environment if you have this constant failure or you fall short. And so working on intentions, which marries the education with the health optimization, women start to realize it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be linear. Progress is what matters. And if it's what is right for you and your choices align with your intention for yourself, which is just to live healthy and thriving, those choices start to become much easier, and women stop comparing. It's not fair that the neighbor's eating the donuts at the neighborhood potluck and I can't eat those because my health coach told me not to, or my nutritionist said no. They start to realize it's that environment, which has previously been very noisy, suddenly becomes irrelevant to them. And they can suddenly just make changes that meets their intention and aligns with their purpose. And it becomes quite easy. And so, some people might opt to, like, let's say, have food before they go to the neighborhood potluck at home, so they know that they're feeding their body what they need, and then they can still go and enjoy people, and they don't resent the people who brought the crappy food or who are eating the crappy food. But on a serious note, we do also work with women who come to us and say, I'm struggling in my marriage, my libido's been off and we don't have intimacy or whatnot. And Maria and I very, very much are committed to staying in our lane. And so we will say, look, it sounds as though you could use some counseling, or it sounds as though you maybe need some mental health work, if we're dealing with significant depression, et cetera. So, there is obviously a lot of different inputs from an environment, but we stay in our lane and deal with those that we can, and then gently suggest to women that they focus on, getting help in other places if we think that they need it, to kind of create an optimized environment for them.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, obviously, as you said, staying on your side of the line is important. Otherwise, you end up becoming more presumptive versus, helpful in some regards.
Yeah.
So, as I suspected, we run past 20 minutes before the time even started. So, what I'd love to finish off with is, from both of you, your 1, 2, or 3 highlights that you would suggest someone who's watching this show and just comes right now. They're just kind of they've missed the last 19 minutes. They've just walked in and they're watching Maria and Kristen on the screen. What would you give them as the parting message if they either are a midlife businesswoman watching, or they know someone in their life who could benefit from a message like that?
I'm
Sure.
going to start with that, and then I'm going to let, I guess, Kristen close with it. So number one, and this is just like, we certainly don't mean to, by any means, to throw the work of, other people that are doing nutrition and type work under the bus by any means. But the dominant narrative from in nutrition is very, very plant-based. We're not anti-plant, okay? But it's very plant-based, very carb heavy. It's very beautiful, and the little frosted strawberries on your smoothie, and it's very young, okay? It doesn't apply to midlife women. So just realize, just because something has hegemony or dominance out there in the social media world, that brings us all together in a wonderful way, the nutrition advice out there is not appropriate. The generalized nutrition approach is not appropriate for midlife women. So that's number one. Be careful.
Yeah, I'd say number 2 is, to that end, women, you need to come to terms with animal protein, and you need to eat more of it. Period. Dot. It's a foundation to our health. To a midlife woman who's hormonally deficient, who usually has some digestion issues, neurotransmitter problems, a few things. Kale is not your superfood. A big old steak is your superfood. And you need to increase your animal protein intake. And then you need to dial in your sleep and your movement. And Maria, you can talk about the movement piece really quick as number 3.
Yeah, so movement would be, is extremely important. If you are really wiped out, not sleeping, please don't wake up at 5 a.m. to get your exercise in before work. It's not helping you. We've actually had clients where we've asked them to do nothing for 2 weeks, and then we work with them on that. And then just the last thing I want to add, and I know we didn't talk about it, but it's extremely important. Well, we touched on it a bit, is midlife women need to give serious consideration to using hormone replacement therapy. We really have been pretty much led astray, and we could probably do an hour class or talk just on this, so we certainly don't have the time for it. But that's one of the things we do, is we educate. We can't prescribe HRT, but we do educate. We help them understand, and it's something that they need to make a firm, empowered decision on, either a a hearty yes or a no, but they need to make that from a place of understanding. Most women are making it from a place of not understanding. They're being misled by people that are actually supposed to be helping them. And so that's one thing we're really, that you need to do, and something we can help them do.
Cool. Very good. Well, that's been super helpful. I think you've ended on a sort of super high performer note. Get your HRT as a serious consideration versus leaving it as an option only. But no, it's been super. I mean, I've learned a lot. In fact, I've learned heaps. Most of what you said was new information for me. So thank you very much. Actually, I'm seeing someone who's watched this right now, who's been a regular viewer of ours. He said that he's going to stop pizza. He's promising that. So hopefully you'll get a client that is probably his wife or someone, if not someone in his family. But again, thank you very much, Maria and Kristen, for joining us this morning, your time, as we approach the start of our evening here in Dubai, and look forward to staying in touch. And thank you all for those who are either going to watch this show now or have been watching so far, or will watch it later on when we kind of relay the replay afterwards. With that, it's a wrap. Thanks very much, and
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.